Hi, my name is Lawrence, and in this video I would like to share a few ideas with you on how you can talk about politics with people without getting into fights. So you might know this situation. You are at a family meeting and you're eating together, and all of a sudden the topic of politics comes up. Maybe you talk about ending or not ending the lockdown. Maybe you talk about the Black Lives Matter protests and if they are justified or not. Or maybe you talk about migrants coming to your country. And at first you try to be fair, you try to have a normal discussion, but often it gets ugly really, really quickly. And often, yeah, you say something that the other person gets triggered by, or you get triggered by something the other person says, and then often you end up in a fight. And even if you don't end up in a fight, usually it doesn't go anywhere. Nobody gets convinced, and in the end, both of you probably just like each other less. And I've been in this situation so many times, and it's been super frustrating. And at some point, I realized something that turned things completely around for me, which was that I always perceived the other person as being super stubborn and not willing to listen to me. And then I put myself into the shoes of the other person and I realized I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm also stubborn. I don't listen to what they are saying. When they are saying something, I'm not really listening to them. I'm just in my head thinking about the next thing I am going to say. And of course, the other person is doing the exact same thing. And so here we are, and we don't get anywhere. And then I thought about this one quote by Gandhi of be the change you want to see in the world. I thought, okay, why not be that person who I want to be talking to? Why not be that person who actually listens to the other person, that actually is open to changing their mind if it makes sense? So I just tried this out over the last year, and I combined this with other things I've learned on the way, and I've learned quite a few things that really, really helped me to keep my cool in political discussions and to really have more meaningful discussions or conversations about politics. And I would like to share those insights I've had with you in this video. So I've broken this down into three main points, three main insights I've had. The first one is that facts are pretty much useless. So if you stay in the level of facts and opinions, you won't get anywhere. And this is because usually we think that we are these really rational human beings, and that the way we form opinions is that we look at the facts objectively, and then from those facts we derive our opinion. And actually this is not at all how it works. So science has shown that actually it works the other way around. Usually we have our opinion pre-formed already. We are inclined because of subconscious processes to want to believe certain things. So what we do then is we look at the facts and pick out those facts or interpret the facts in such a way that it serves our preformed opinion. And that's why it doesn't work to talk about facts usually in those discussions. Because if somebody doesn't want to believe you, they just won't. They will find reasons not to believe you. You can see this, for example, with climate change. These days, you can find facts for basically any opinion on the internet. If you want to believe that climate change is a hoax, you will find facts for that on the internet. Pretty convincing fact. And if you want to believe that climate change is real, you will find facts for that. You will even find facts that support that the earth is flat. Okay, so now you might ask yourself, okay, if I can't talk about opinions and facts, what am I supposed to talk about? And this is what brings us to the second point. The second point is, instead of talking about opinions and facts, talk about the underlying needs. Go one layer deeper. This concept of needs is, I've taken this from nonviolent communication, And nonviolent communication says that we as humans, we all have the same needs. Every human being has a need for shelter, for food, for respect, for love, for being a part of a group. And this is what connects us as humans. We all have the same needs. And what makes us different is the strategies we use to fulfill those needs. So one person might eat a chicken sandwich for fulfilling their need for food, and another person might drink an avocado smoothie. And one person might want to close their borders and to have a very homogeneous society with only one culture, one religion, so that they can feel at home and like they belong somewhere. And another person might prefer the exact opposite. They might prefer a very multicultural society with lots of different kinds of people in it, so that they can feel like they belong, that they feel like that they can really feel, express themselves and be who they are. And it's still the same underlying need of belonging somewhere. So, and the thing is that often we get so fixated on the strategies we want to use to fulfill our needs that we lose track of the actual needs behind that. So we are so fixated on closing the borders, on ending the lockdown immediately, or keeping the lockdown for one more year that we tend to lose track of, like, okay, why do I actually want that? And so the idea is that first you get clarity on your own needs of, like, what do I actually want with this opinion? For example, feeling safe if you want to close the borders, or feeling safe if you want to keep the lockdown. And when you have that, then you get the clarity on the other person's needs. Like, what does the other person actually want? And when that happens, a whole new world opens up. So then you get into connection. And this brings us to the third point, which is a change in mindset. Instead of trying to convince the other person, try to make your goal to have a mutual understanding, so that both of you are aware of their own needs and of the needs of the other person. And when this happens, then you can work together to find new strategies still that fulfill both needs. So the question isn't anymore, okay, do we open the borders or do we close them? It's, okay, how can we care for us still being safe and our sense of community still being there, people feeling like they are at home, and still helping people who are in need, and still getting workers for jobs that we don't want to do. Okay, so I want to make this even more concrete, even more tangible. So I'm going to give you another example. This is an example from my own life. A few months back, when the lockdown was just beginning, I was talking with my dad, and my dad was really was saying things like, hey, it's not that bad. It's totally over the top. There's a whole lockdown thing. We should stop that. It's not that big of a deal. And I was triggered. I was like, hey, we have to protect those people who are vulnerable, and I'm scared of this shit really, really going bad. So those were my needs. I wanted to protect people. I wanted society to function, the health system to still be okay. And what came out when I was listening more to my dad was that he was really concerned for his job, or because he works on his own. He has his own business, and his business isn't dependent on him working with people in person, and he couldn't do that at the time. So he was really concerned about losing his income and things really going bad for him. And as soon as I saw that, I all of a sudden I had compassion for him. I wasn't anymore like, hey, try to think of other people, don't be so selfish. But I was like, okay, hey, he wants to survive. So in this example, it's not anymore, do we end the lockdown or don't we? It's, okay, how do we find a way to protect people from getting sick and to keep the health system still running, while at the same time helping small business owners and people who are freelancing to still also survive and to still have an income so that they can pay the rent and buy groceries and stuff like that. So how do you apply this practically? This was just very theoretical still, so I want to give you a few very practical tips that you can apply right away, which rest on these principles of connecting to the needs and then working together to find something. So one thing I'm doing a lot and that I got a lot of value from is, before you respond to what the other person just said, before you bring your arguments, before you talk about your needs, summarize what the other person said. In your own words, say what you heard them say. And this does two things. For one, it just helps that you're actually on the same page, that you're talking about the same thing, but because often you just don't. Often you misunderstand each other. And second, more importantly, it shows that you actually listened to the other person. The other person sees, okay, he doesn't just want to unload his stack of arguments on me, but he or she actually listens to me and actually tries to understand my point of view. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't matter if what you're saying is right. You might be completely wrong in guessing what the other person just said, but you show your intention of actually trying to listen. And of course, the catch with this is you actually have to listen and you actually have to be curious on what the other person says. It won't really work just to summarize what the other person says with the hope, okay, if I do this, maybe then they will listen to me more. But hey, no, you actually have to be curious. So the second tip I want to give you is, there's one word in our language which destroys so much connection and it makes arguments so much more difficult. And this little word is but. So Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, used to say, never put your butt into an angry person's face. So usually when the other person finishes talking and you want to bring your arguments, you usually say, hey, but, and then, hey, consider this point, blah, 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 blah. And what this but says, it's like a fuck you to the other person. It's like, fuck you, everything you just said is wrong, and now I'm gonna tell you exactly why. So you are basically devaluing everything the other person says. Instead, try to say and. Try to hold those two opinions next to each other. Like, okay, so you have your opinion and I accept that, and I have this other opinion that I would like you to see as well. So you could say, for example, yeah, and at the same time, here's my opinion. And still, there's this other thing I want you to see. Okay, this was the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and I would love for you to leave me a comment, leave me a like, let me know what you enjoyed, what you would have liked to see more of. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, leave me a subscribe. I'm super excited for the next few weeks and months for what's to come. I've got lots of things planned. I'm super stoked on making a lot of videos. So if you want to see more like this, yeah, just leave me a subscribe and hope to see you in the next video. Bye.